everyone.
Morning.
Hi.
Morning. Cool. Everyone can hear me? Thumbs up. Videos. Yes.
Thanks for
Hi.
having this.
Hi, everyone. We have two screens, so if it looks like we're looking to the side, it's because we see all of you here and we have our slides here. So good morning, everyone. Hi, Rosia.
Hi, Rosia.
Cool. So welcome, everyone. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. I think during the presentation, we'll like to keep everyone muted. We are going to try something new with breakout rooms later on, so you'll be able to actually, talk a little bit in smaller groups, because I know in bigger groups sometimes it can be a bit intimidating and difficult through virtual events. So thank you so much for coming this Friday morning. We're really excited to have you on the call today. I just wanted to first start by introducing us here at Creative Mornings. Creative Mornings Lausanne, our team. We have Elia here with us today. We have Catherine, the speaker, and then we have Marta and Tom actually dialed in virtually. So you can see they just gave a little wave. I'm Sophie. I'm the host of Creative Mornings Lausanne. I took over Marta a couple months ago. Marta is a co-organizer. Maria is our graphic designer based in Canada, so she's not dialed in with us today as it's the middle of the night, but you can see all the different graphics that we make on Instagram. The speaker presentation, that's all created by her, and she was one of the founding members of Creative Mornings Lausanne. And then here we have Elia, who's our partnerships manager, who is the one who finds all our local sponsors. And today we have Gato de Meme with us today.
Yay.
And Tom Zamza, he's our newest member. So he joined a couple of Creative Mornings earlier, and he is very engaging, and he wants to, kind of help us with our virtual events and create a little bit more excitement with breakout rooms, with discussions. So him and I put together like a fun little session for us today. And we have Tioki, who during our in-person events, he is our videographer. So unfortunately today it's virtual, but it makes his job a bit easier. But during our in-person events, which we hope to have at the second half of this year, fingers crossed, he is usually present. So here I will pass it off to Elia to quickly introduce our local sponsor.
Good morning, Creative Mornings. I'm delighted to introduce our partner for this month, Gato de Meme. The person behind Gato de Meme is Melissa, and she makes these wonderful sweet and savory cakes, treating all of us here in Lausanne. You can find her every Saturday at the market in Rue Centrale. She makes these lovely cakes. She also makes fruit cakes, and her newest delights are the protein snacks that you can see in the middle screen, and they are a hit. So for some of our lucky guests, they will have the chance to win a small cake and a few of these protein snacks, and stay tuned for more details at the end of the presentation. Thanks again, Melissa.
Thanks, Melissa. So yeah, indeed, stay tuned until the end for this giveaway. And just a little bit of Zoom technical kind of aspects if you're not used to it yet. If you want to rename yourself, you're able to do that by clicking participants, and you can rename yourself and add your Twitter or Instagram handles so people can follow you and look, at your friends to your left and right and see if they're people you know or if they're people you would like to follow. At the same time, we're going to do a really, really quick exercise of raise your hand. So if you click participants, there should be a little blue hand that says raise hand. And I will ask a couple questions and kind of lead to our breakout rooms from there. So first question, raise your hand if this is your first Creative Mornings event. I know I see some regulars, but maybe there's some, I see a couple new people, or maybe we're figuring out the raise your hands aspect, but welcome to those who are new. Creative Mornings is actually in over 223 chapters in 67 countries worldwide. So there are 27,000 morning people that attend a Creative Mornings talk every month, and our events are always and always free. Now we're virtual, so we are actually able to welcome people from all around the world and not just Lausanne, so that is a bit of a silver lining. And we are free thanks to our global sponsors. So here we have MailChimp, who is our global partner for marketing. Something they're doing now is change is one of the only constants in life, but it's fast and unpredictable. And they created this report to help the small businesses that are a big part of our community here to overcome uncertainty and find success. And here you can take a look at the marketing strategies to help your small business grow. And there's going to be a link in the chat for those of you who are interested. Basecamp is also a new partner that we're working with. So for those of you who aren't familiar, they're a project management tool. And if you have like a small business, they have a lot of different really interesting tools that connect all the different aspects that we have now. And they also have a groundbreaking new email platform called Hey. And Hey is at the moment partnering with our Creative Mornings HQ in Brooklyn and launched a campaign called Hey Creative Mornings. So it's a bit of a kind of virtual water cooler where you share little ideas. And this month they asked like, what were your favorite books? And these are some of the favorite books that people from the Creative Mornings community submitted. So you can take a look at all of these aspects. One piece that is pretty cool that I want to focus on is Skillshare. So they're our newest global partner for online learning. I think a lot of us are familiar with Skillshare, and something that they're doing for us, which is really great, is that they're offering a limited time offer of 40% off our community at Creative Mornings. And so there's going to be a code in the chat that Tom's going to help put in, and it is valid for new members and runs through the end of the month. So if you haven't tried Skillshare before, it's a great way to have 40% off your annual premium membership and learn some new pieces. So to continue our raise your hand if you are calling in from Lausanne. We're in Lausanne now. I see. I see both virtual hands and physical hands. So it looks like a good majority of you are. And then if you are not calling in from Lausanne, I don't know if we have anyone from other parts of Switzerland or other parts of the world in the call at all, but if not, I would love to hear in the chat too if you're dialed in from somewhere else, a different time zone or something. And finally, raise your hand if you have something that you're grateful for today. Amazing. Yes, happy Friday, everyone. I think it's going to be a really nice weekend if you are based in Lausanne. It looks very sunny today. So I wanted to introduce the theme of this month is ripple. So of course, this could mean a lot of different things. What Creative Mornings thinks is like everything you do has the power to create its own ripple effect. And it's like an object breaking the water surface. So here it was a theme that was chosen by our chapter in Tel Aviv and illustrated by Masha Manapov from that chapter. And this, I'm going to pass it on to Tom, who's actually going to introduce our coffee line activity.
Yes, hi everybody, so good to see all of the hands still up, meaning that everybody is jazzed and pumped and ready to go. One of the terrible things that we cannot do at the moment, given the COVID restrictions, to actually meet in person, because one of my favorite parts of any event meeting is the actual coffee line, when you wait for your coffee or the shrimp cocktail if something happens in the afternoon or evening, and you get to chat people up a little bit, share some stories and make these new connections. So we thought, you know what, screw it, we're just going to have one anyways. So we will pull everybody that's on the call here, including ourselves, into breakout rooms in just a second. And we want to talk about this theme of ripple. And so the question that we'd love to have all of you discuss and answer and maybe present back to us when we're back at the main room is, have you ever realized that something you did created a ripple among the people around you? And because this is Creative Mornings, because this is Friday, we want to talk about positive stuff here. So share some stories. How have you influenced your environment by an action that was voluntary or involuntary that had an effect on other people? So the coffee line is short today because we're 21 people on the call. So we're going to have 5 minutes on the clock in a breakout session. You'll see an automatic pop-up on your screen in just a second that's going to pull you into the breakout room. Share your name with everybody, share your location, and let's get to talking. And we'll reconvene here in 5 minutes from now. Wow, how was the that for a challenge on a Friday morning, eh? So I'm totally going to volunteer somebody. I don't know if you're familiar with this term, but it's if nobody wants to volunteer to say their story, you're being voluntold. And Aline was in our group out on a fabulous walk in this beautiful weather. And Aline, if you're still there, I'd love for you to share your story because I think more people need to hear about it. So we're just going to like pause for 6 seconds and see if she comes back. And if not, we're just going to cruise right along to the main event.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are.
Yes, there. Here I am. I'm sorry, I disconnected myself from the room.
I know you left.
I'm on the phone, so I must have pushed something. No, I was just saying that I recently moved to Lausanne, and I'm rethinking all my career. So that was pretty much it. Yeah.
No, but you were rethinking your career, but also in order to help you rethink, you also connected with others around this topic, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I am. I've been an expat for this last 11 years. So this is my 5th country, and I was just telling Tom and Martha and the other guy that was in the room. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. That I was chatting with some people like-minded and in the same situation as me, so that we can help each other in the same situation as in transitioning to new careers and creative careers, just like me.
I love that.
That's it.
Cool.
Thank you for sharing.
Everybody's
Thank you.
smiling, everybody's wistful, everybody's loving the story, which is great. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to hand it back over to Sophie, and let's get to the main event, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom, and thank you so much for sharing. So give me a second as I manage my wonderful computers. So now I just wanted to present our lovely speaker that some of you were able to speak to in our breakout rooms. This is Pearson. She's a local Lausanne illustrator, and I'm really excited to share with you guys, she's going to share her work and what Ripple means to her after the discussion we just had. So we will just swap this with her beautiful presentation. So the floor is yours, Catherine.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you all for joining me today. I have to admit, I'm a bit stressed because it's my first talk, and talking in English, it's always a challenge for me. So bear with me, and I hope you will understand everything I'm trying to talk about. So
Let's try now.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, it's super. I'm an editorial illustrator based in Lausanne, Switzerland, where I work and live. I've been working in the creative field as a full-time freelancer since 2018. So it's been like almost 3 years now. And I work with diverse projects with local and clients, international and local clients, on projects like editorial pieces. So it can be like magazine article or covers, or even sometimes on web article and stuff. I work on events like this Adobe piece I created for the Adobe Max last year. I do also picture books. So it's an example of my first picture book, Dragonfly. It was for children, but it can be whatever children, whatever books they ask me. I do packaging, and I'm just taking 1 minute to promote those candy because they are very good. It's made locally and naturally. So if you didn't try them, I recommend you those. And I work also on promotional campaign, mostly web campaigns. So like this piece I did, it was for the social media like Instagram and Facebook carousel slides. So you can see my work is very versatile. And today I'm going to talk about the ripple effect. So like Sophie said before, the ripple effect is the continued and spreading result of an event and an action. And my career path has been influenced by a lot of series, events, and fails. So first thing first, why did I choose illustration? And in order to respond to that, you have to go back a few years ago when I was a lost soul and I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. So you take an awkward teenager who has absolutely no goals, no motivation, and a lot of anxiety, and you result with someone being completely lost. And at that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my 10 fingers. I had absolutely no idea and no motivation. So I got a lot of fight with my mom, but finally I chose something. So when I was lost, I always remembered that I had something always inside of me, and this was creativity. But at the time, I didn't knew I can actually make something about what I had, the creative side of me. So I took my creative spirit. I decided to drop out of college. My parents were not happy, but yet I did it. I was 16 at the time, so I thought would be cool to apply to a fashion design school. It resulted, I hated. I never went to class. I was very bad at it, and the teacher didn't really like me, I think. From this school, I switched into the comic art classes that was in the same school. The teacher was like, you know what, just come with us because, I don't know what you're doing in fashion studies. You're so bad at it. So I tried. I kind of liked it. And it was the first time since like 10 years I started to draw again. I was about 18 at the time. Then I transferred myself to Cerelam, who's an art school in Lausanne, and they specialize in European Bachelor in illustration. They also do animation. And to that point, it's where things really clicked into my head. I actually finally understood it was an actual job to draw something. I met a lot of fun students who were able also to give me some ideas of what I can do. So finally, I still skipped some classes, but not as much. I finished my degree, I got a diploma, and now I know I wanted to be an illustrator, and I finally had a purpose in my life. So having this purpose finally, it was good, but now I needed to make a way to make my passion a career and pay my bills. So today I'm going to talk about the steps I did in order to live for my passion. And it was refining my style, get into action, knock on doors, be picky, and then repeat all the past action. So refining my style. This took me a lot of time because I'm a patchwork of things I like. I like so many stuff like patterns, stories, food, femininity, and a lot more. So you can see a direct translation of this theme with some of my actual work. And in order to find my style and refine it, I needed space and time to explore. So even if I think I found it today, I would say my style is always a constant evolution and it always needs refining. So my first step was to go from traditional techniques like aquarelle, gouache, coloring pencil. So here you have an example of some work I did as a student. I never worked on computer. I always did everything by hand. So I mainly used gouache. It's a kind of a painting. I really liked it. But then I went to digital, and I'm a fiercely pro Photoshop. I only use that in all my current work. So I show you quickly an example of another sketch illustration I did in my students year. So you can see at the beginning of the year, I did the piece by hand with coloring pencil, gouache. at the end of the year, when I got introduced to Photoshop, I tried to do the same piece, but I switched into the digital media. And at that time, I was like, okay, it's really good because with the tab graphic design, you can work by hand, you still have the joy of drawing, but it's easier, I think, to make it cleaner. It's more flexible if you have corrections. So for me, it's like, yeah, I would not recommend for my work to work by hand, but I still paint in my free time. Also in the course, as I said, my style is always evolving and I always refine as I go. So this is a personal project I did. It was about Hong Kong, the city where my dad grew up. I wanted to illustrate something very fun and playful. So I started this piece in 2017, I think, and I got a bit stuck. I didn't like it, so I put it aside. And in 2020, last year, I decided to finish it. And you can see that with an old piece I started 2 years ago, I could actually refine it by keeping some of the stuff, but like the head, the texture, the details, everything was more construct and more detailed, refined. So yeah, refining your style is always a constant thing. So another big step for me is when I find my signature style, I would say. Yeah, and it was with this project. I won the Absolute Vodka contest in 2018 with this piece. And I think it's where, yeah, I finally like, okay, I think I know where I'm heading visually as an artist. So the contest was about to illustrate the core value. So we had to pick one from one of them. And I decided to choose this phrase, no matter where we are from, we are all human, because I really liked it and I think it's true. So I decided to illustrate my Garden of Eden, where the beauty of our planet will be cherished and celebrated, a place where we'll be free to love who we want and be who we want to be, because we're all equal. And with my idea having in mind, my main inspiration was a classical painting of the Garden of Eden. I really like the deepness of the old paintings and stuff. So even if I'm going on full digital mode, I always keep some very ancient reference. It's always good to have something like that. It was a time where I decided to explore my weird shapes that I starting to try, but I wanted to keep it graphic, like one of my favorite artists, Owen Dewey, who I think he makes the perfect balance between graphic shapes and still fluid and organic stuff like animals. I wanted my piece to be lush and detailed like another artist I love, Shyama Golden, where it's very natural and textured. But I wanted to keep my piece fun and playful like Tommy Um. She's one of the best in doing that. In that, I mean making an illustration that would not only be nice and pretty, but where people could stop and interact, like seeing so many fun details and like, I see that. So this was in mind. And I needed to keep my textures like in my painting. And this is very important for me because I think when you go in digital, it's always it can be very easily cold, but with texture, you still have this deepness. So first step into creating my Absolute Creative Competition poster, Garden of Eden. So first, let's get with the weird shapes. So I did not have planned sketches. I just went with the flow and I had fun and explore. After I started to see a design, so I started to add some details. In this case, the organic stuff. Then it was time to make it fun by by telling a story. So my story was love, human acceptance. So I added couples, it's a Cupidon of love, womanhood, nature, animals. So it was where things finally had a story. And now go to my favorite part, the textures. So I really love this because you can see it's very flat from very deep suddenly. Yeah, textures like the steps sometimes I start first, but because I'm so excited to add on. And yeah, I couldn't live without texture like so yeah, it's really my signature stuff to put textures and wave now. And ta-da, this was the final piece. So it was also a great experience because winning Switzerland's competition was me to be able to go to Stockholm and meet all the 90 winners from the country, meet the jury, go to the global event so I could meet, have feedbacks, discover new people. So it was really a great adventure, and it gave me a lot of confidence in my style and make it believe in it. And now I knew I wanted to be graphic, really bold in colors, detail, spark joy, and be funny, playful, with a lot of textures, and add a lot of my waves and weird shapes. So now that I knew my style, what I wanted to do, now it was time to pay my bills and get to action. Because since I graduated, I always had like side jobs like booking shops or being a host in events, but not work illustration related. So I said bye, and I just left with no plan B. And I was very stressed, and I was like, okay, will I make it? But I don't have the choice, so let's go. It was a time for me to show my work, go meet new people, and get noticed. And now I will show you the first drop that I made as a freelance that created me a ripple effect that got finally started as a freelancer, and where I could finally pay my bills and live full time of it. So this is a very special project of mine because it was inspired by my dear designer boyfriend. Shout out to you. And it's a piece of our little city, Lausanne, where I illustrated all the key places of our city. So as I said, it was inspired by my boyfriend, Stefan, because I saw that in 2010, he did a piece with Lausanne, where he illustrated his view of Lausanne. And I was like, that's very nice, I like it. So I need to make my own version of it. And this is where my little Pearson project clicked, and I did my own version of it. And just after that, we saw that La Cité des Créateurs were going to take place in Lausanne. So it's a place where all the locals, designers and creators like meet and share and sell the products. Like it can be food, it can be clothing, jewelry, print, art, and stuff. So we quickly put our name on the list. We got into it. So we were like, oh shit, so what are we going to do? So we quickly put together the Good Apple. And we put all our work together, and we're like, okay, we're going to make a Swiss little brand, the Good Apple, and this is where our local brand started. So you can see now it has been a bit evolved. We did also Summer in Lausanne, some other prints of Lausanne. We do postcard and stuff, all inspired by Switzerland, history, land, and culture. So we did our first market. It was really fun. We showed our print. It was we were actually surprised because we sold a few of them. So we're like, okay, so people are interested in those kind of stuff. We meet some people and we started to get noticed. I talked and give my information contact to a lot of people. So a few weeks after that, I got my first email from my first client, and she was like, oh, hi, Catherine, we met at La Cité des Créateurs. Would you be interested in working together? And I was like, yes, finally. So yeah, I got like this, my first commission as an illustrator. And I was like very happy and surprised that she actually contacted me from the time she saw me at La Cité. This piece was made for the School of Music of Lausanne. And it was to show all the instruments they do in the concert. And what's funny with that, it has led me to my second commission, because one of the students brought back the magazine at home, And his dad was a art director who had his own design agency. So he directly contacted me, and I landed my second project that was even bigger. Was really good because it was a bit more corporate on this, but it was a very good practice for me to experiment on a bigger scale. So you can see with how starting with a small personal project like my print Anniversaire Lausanne, we quickly launched our local brand, The Good Apple. With that, we did our first creative market where we meet people, and I got my first commission that landed me to my second commission directly. And now I was ready to find an illustration agency to have even bigger opportunities. So yeah, it's how I started actually living for my work. And now it was time to open more doors and knock on people, or I would say harass them. And for me, it was the time to find an illustration agency. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly drink because it's super. So it was the time to find an illustration agency. So why do I want to have an agent, and why have an agent is very good? I just quickly talking about this because it's something a lot of creative ask me, and I think it's really a good thing to have, and it can really help you. So agents are experts in the illustration market, and they will promote your work, because sometimes us as an artist, we're not very good at that, selling ourselves. With more visibility, you will have access to a bigger clients project, and you will reach a new audience. Then they will handle all the paperwork and the negotiation. We always know how delicate it can be talking about the cash side of it. And you will be finally able to focus on what you are best at. And in my case, it's illustrating. So having an agent is really a good thing. And with the bonus, you have a support system in case things go bananas. In that, I mean, if in case sometimes you can have difficult project where client don't follow up directly with the payment, or ask too much modification and stuff. So an agent are always here like to protect you and be the wall between the client and you can you can sometimes hide behind them. So this was a project I got with an agent that I could not have alone. And this project was for the Matin Dimanche. And it was to show the whole world that's hidden into the newspaper box you find into the streets. And with that campaign, they wanted to make a TV spot. So you can see the agent had the client, and they had like this really big project. So this project was a TV spot who had to be animated. So it required a very big team that the agent had in place. So you can see there were the art direction, production, animators, assistant camera, editors, music design, etc. And this is where I popped in as the illustrator. And together we could make this big project. So you can see some of the backstage. So you can see that even if it's an animation, there was some part where they would include mix of video shots with illustration. And my role as an illustrator, so it was to do all the sketches of the frame and look and find all the color palettes. So that's what I did. Then I started to illustrate the 7 frames. So I will quickly show you the 7 frames. So here's the office. You can see the meeting scene where in the newspaper they talk about what's going to go in. After, there's like the production part of it. That's the scene where they start to put together the articles and all the photographies and stuff. This is the printing scene where the newspaper is made. This is the social media place where they start to promote the newspaper. And finally, the moment where they're going to deliver the stuff. So after that, I handed all my files that I prepared to the animation team, and they animated and put that all together with the sound and design team and etc. So with this TV spot that I was able to work on, I was able after to have few other projects that the client really loved and say like, okay, we're going to adapt the visual you made for other stuff. So you can see the TV spot landed to the newspaper box campaign after we did some promotional web stuff, and we did all the newspaper and brochure. And that's it. So yeah, so the agent was able to help me to create a very big client and project. And first and most important, they were able to do all to click all the teams together. So I couldn't do this alone. So next is local collaboration, because they can bring you to an unexpected project. Sometimes we always look at big clients, big brands, big dreams, but sometimes the coolest projects are just under our nose. And this landed me to collaborate for my favorite project of last year, 2020, and it was Festival Lausanne Lumière. It was my favorite project because we were into the pandemic, everything was cancelled. It was quite sad and depressing because it was cold. Also, we live in such a gray area in winter. And it was a moment where I could finally bring some joy to people. The team of Festival Lausanne Lumière, when they contacted me, they said you have like full creative freedom, and that not happened always or often. So for once I was like, okay, I can do whatever I want. They trust me. I was able to collaborate with the animator I used to work, like Elisa. And then it would be projected on buildings, on huge building with huge projectors. So it's like, wow, people would finally be able to stop and interact. So I decided to do the Lady Rainbow. And I got this idea when I listened to music of the Rolling Stone, She's a Rainbow. And suddenly I had like the whole idea in my head, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. So I got also a lot inspired by the 70s vibe. I needed to be something very cool, very colorful that would pop on the building. So I think those palette was perfect. Psychedelic with a lot of details and waves and stuff. And I think the 70s would match perfectly with the era of the song She's a Rainbow and the theme what I wanted to do. So this was my initial sketch. And to be honest, I did it like the night before I saw the client. I always do things last minute, but that's when I'm the most effective. And it was super cool to see it transform to clean illustration that would be animated and finally projected on the building. So it was very magic for us. You can see Elisa. I'm very sorry that I did this picture where you have your eye closed, but it was the only one I had the good frame of the building. So we finally saw our piece put together, animated and projected. We saw people stop and interact. That was so cool to see, because sometimes my work is mainly on Instagram, on editorial stuff, and people do not take time to just stop and appreciate the details you put into it. So people will stop, take picture, listen to the music. I was quite surprised, so it was very fun. You see an example of the famous Lady Rainbow, and after on the right where she's projected. This was actually my favorite scene because there was all the waves and the femininity. This project was also a big ode to the femininity for me. So voila, this was my favorite project for 2020, and it was not by a big brand, it was by a local collaboration, and I would never expect, I don't think I would have the chance to do this if I was able to compete with big projects that mean big artists. So yeah, Voila. Next step is to be picky, because what you show is what you get. And in that, I mean, there's your personal project, what you love to do, but unfortunately unpaid. After this, the paid project, but sometimes it's the kind of project that can be very corporate, or you have to do a lot of compromise on your style, but they pay you bills. And in the middle, there's the sweet spot where you can have both of what you do, you completely freedom, your style and your vision, and you're getting paid. So to go to the sweet spot, I like to carefully select what I do to show in my portfolio. So yeah, sorry, I got lost in my head. So this is, I'm going to show you an example of a lot of work I did since I started as a freelancer. So you can see there's a lot of more corporate jobs where I align with the brand more and the colors. There's some personal stuff. It's a mix of everything I did, a selection. And then this is what I only keep into my portfolio. I only keep the key project where I think my vision is truly expressed, and those projects will help me to guide future clients to choose me for what I do, actually. So now that I finish all this, I like to each year reboot the process, take some time to think, and break off a bit of always hustling and looking for opportunities too, because it can be quite tiring, and also sometimes you forgot also why you do this, the creation part, because you always focus on, okay, I need to live from it. So after the break, now I like to start the year by repeating the process, and that means I like to do new portfolio project to refine and explore my style. I like to connect with new people, with like markets and collaboration. I like to knock on new doors. Like I always send new emails to clients, like, or new client I don't have, like, hey, my name is Catherine, you want to work with me? I like to find way to collaborate with other artists or people in other field. And at the end, I always stay picky and choose what I'm going to show. And most importantly, I have fun. And this is what you should always do, even if you're not an illustrator, because we easily tend to go into the stuff and forget what we're doing this job. And into my case, is to create and not to be rich. So voila. This was my journey as an illustrator. And remember that always one small drop can have an immense impact in your life. And this is how my small drops I dropped lead me to finally be able to work in my dream job as an illustrator. So voila. This was my ripple effect. I hope it will give you ideas and give you some space to think about it. And if you're not freelance and you want to be, don't hesitate to jump into the pond and let's get started.
Thank you, Catherine.
So inspiring.
Yeah. No, it's amazing how you can see kind of one drop, as you say, create this ripple effect. And I think everyone can relate to some changes they've made or something they've done that has kind of caused other things to happen. So thank you so much. So now I'm just going to jump a bit into our giveaway. So if you were here in the beginning, you know from Elia that we might have some goodies. So how we're going to do this is, if you have your chat open, we're going to jump into a couple questions. Of course, I just clicked the wrong button or played from the beginning instead of current slide. So if we're jumping into our Q&A, we'll have 4 winners and we have 4 questions. So first question, first person to chat gets it. What tool does Catherine use to create all her client work? I think people are really fast usually. So yeah. The first one here is Renata. So we have your information and we'll contact you then. We'll only have 4 separate winners. So in case, I know Renata, she tends to be very fast and has a really good memory. She's won a couple of our giveaways, but you can still answer. But if you're first again, we might have to give it to second. Second question. What is the name of the local brand that she founded with her boyfriend? Margot.
Margot, she was fast. Good apple.
Good apple.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have Margot and Renata. Third question. What was Catherine's favorite project from 2020?
It's a bit longer to type.
True. Océan.
Océan.
Festival Lumière. Exactly.
Awesome.
I loved that projection. And then our fourth question, Ellie will introduce, is related if you were paying attention to all our content that we've been releasing. So it could be a bit more tricky.
So where can we find Melissa and the lovely Gâteau de Meme to claim the sweet prizes for Renata, Margot, and Océan? And the fourth person.
Renata says, I visit her every
We're
Saturday.
Central! Woohoo! Bravo!
Yeah.
So-
Good job, everyone.
So we have our 4 winners, Renata, Margot, Océan, and Aline. And I will put you in contact with Melissa from Gâteau de Meme, who is online. So hello, Melissa. And you can either drop by tomorrow at the market to get your small cake and the 2 protein snacks, or you can speak to Melissa to arrange a delivery. Thanks to everyone.
Perfect. Well done, everyone. Great work on the on the questions. Super
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. It's good to see that you could understand what I was trying to tell in my presentation and you listened to it.
Yes, no, I thought it was super beautiful. So now I want to just take the last couple minutes to open up the floor to Q&A. So if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. We're going to call on you, and then Catherine will be here to answer some of your questions.
Merci, Margot. Thank you, Margot.
So let me see. Tom, I might have you help moderate. But
Yeah, okay. Renata, you just had your hand up.
Perfect. Go ahead, Renata.
Hi, ladies and everyone and guys. Good morning. Thank you so much. This was so lovely.
Hi, Renata.
It was so cool, really. So good to be back with our little community. So thank you for your presentation. I was wondering if you can also talk about, even though we did say we would start on the positive, we are having a moment of COVID in the world where we also having ripple effects of, unfortunately, very bad things and a lot of uncertainties. And although the ripple effect also is causing us to have many more online events and a lot of positives and connecting all over the world, it is on the creative world a moment of uncertainty. And I was just wondering, how are you dealing with that as a freelancer, as someone in a small city like Lausanne, where we also are seeing the chômage increasing. So I was just wondering how you're handling that despite a very successful 2020.
So like you said, it's really uncertain, especially for creative people, because a lot of events and stuff has been canceled. What I like to do is I always like to try to promote and send email, because you never know. Sometimes you can have an unexpected job that can happen on the go. But what I would say for the technical part, all the paying the bills and having no project, I always keep all the money I have from my work, and I put a strict budget where I only spend what I need, and I add everything to my account, and I have a saving fee. So even if I know I have a bit more place, or I have a bit more, I'm no. I pre-split my cash, and after I know I have 4 months to go, and I know in 4 months I need to find a client in order to complete and have other months. So yeah, it's really just making little mind games and calculating, sending emails and stuff, and not overstressing, because for my personal side, I know that the worst case, I have my boyfriend or my family, I will not go into the street, so it's fine for me. But I can imagine, like, for other people, it's more tricky and complicated. So if I didn't have those options, I would be willing, I think, to take a quick job on the side and maybe take a 50% and still keep place to do my work and continue as a freelancer, but have a side job to pay my bills. That would have done.
You might be getting some financial advisory clients after this one.
So I don't know if somebody has another question.
That was a good question, Renata. I think I see.
Melissa, up you go.
Yeah, it's not a question. I just want to share. First of all, congratulations, Catherine. I was very impressed by the colors.
Thank you.
Are you listening? Yeah. With the colors that you put in your work, I see not in your work, but in your life. You really bring life to and color and light to Lausanne. And I was very impressed when I saw your winter in Lausanne, l'hiver Lausanne, because it reminded me when I arrived in Lausanne. I arrived in the middle of the winter. For me, it was a shock. And I decided not to use black things, and I put a lot of colors also in my life. And yeah, for me, it's I identify myself a lot with you because my life, I see colors in everywhere, also in my food, in the way I dress, in the way I see life. So yeah, congratulations. I was very impressed by your work.
Thank you. I'm always happy to bring colors to my favorite city or into people's lives. So it's very nice to hear that you bring your colors. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And for those who don't know, this is Gato de Meme, Melissa. So this is who you find at the market for those who want.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Amazing. I think I have two other questions. Pat in the chat says, having accomplished so much already, what are the next steps for you? Any new projects you can share?
I think the next step for me, it's like I would love to expand even more out of Switzerland, and my dream is to have like bigger clients where I can have like a bigger like medium to bring new stories and colors. So yeah, so now my next step is like really putting together my portfolio of my work I really like, and I'm trying to always contact and get noticed, and I hope having like huge project where I can do like maybe a wall, I don't know. Yeah, so that's what I'm planning to do. And new projects, I'm sure. Yes, I just wrapped my next book. It's going to be a 90 illustration page. Took me a while, a year to complete. So yeah, that's my next project who I can share, and it's going to go out. So I keep more info on my social media about it. And
there's another question.
So it's from. Do you have suggestions? Oh, sorry.
Just starting to learn illustration.
So do you have a suggestion to what we have to do when starting to learn illustration? I would recommend to not stick to one technique first. Try to do a lot of different style, like painting, digital and stuff, and explore your reference. I always have my Pinterest open. I love to look illustrators, but not only like photographer, architecture and stuff. And I try to translate it in my version of it with my style. And so voila, so explore a lot of techniques. Do not expect and put the pressure on you to make it portfolio material, because that can really block you into, oh, I need to make it really nice so it's in my portfolio. No, just have fun, and at the end you select So I think this is how maybe you get started by having a lot of fun. Jérémy.
We have one more. We have, thank you for this wonderful presentation. Do you have any tips on how to connect with people in your creative field and showcase your work? Or did I skip Jeremy's?
You skipped Jérémy's, ouais.
Yeah, so sorry. First, Jeremy, thanks for sharing insight. I'm wondering which is the most meaningful project in your portfolio and why?
My most meaningful project of my portfolio actually is Lausanne en hiver, because it's connected with my boyfriend, which I love, and it's really the thing that got me started, and I have like a personal meaning for it. So I love my city, and this is where I started to be in a good place mentally and also in my work. So yeah, this is my most personal favorite project.
Perfect. And then we have
Jess,
the direct message from Jess is, do you have any tips on how to connect with people in your creative field and showcase your work?
Social media is very good. That's how I met some of my illustrators friends, like Rocio, who's here, Margot, who's also here. That's also good. That's a very good way to connect with people. Showcase your work, I would say, also social media. I'm not an expert on this because I think it's really a lot of work, but yeah, doing stories, Instagram posts, emails, and websites. Even though not a lot of people going on the website, but it's always good to have a clean, professional look. So yeah, social medias and emails, I would recommend.
And a bit tied to this question from Ocean, thank you so much for sharing. Do you have any advice to approach and find an agent?
Yes, if I have an advice to approach and find an agent is to, you go on Google, you type the region you want. So for example, you say UK illustration agency in my case, and then you start to check all of them. Do not take the first you see, because each agency has their own style in the roster they show, and they like to select, so some will be more children illustration work with very traditional way. So obviously for me, it's not what fits me. So yeah, try to look at what kind of artists they represent, and do not, I would not recommend to take an agency who's too big in terms of quantity, because it means that they won't have a lot of time to actually work with you. So I prefer, and I would recommend looking for more boutique agency, small agency, and select and send you emails. And each agency have on their page, you can see they have like a way to apply. Some want like 6 images, some want 7 images, some want a PL, some want not. So double check what are their apply restriction, send it, and in some cases it's just like sending an email. Voilà, this is how I would do it. This is how I did it.
Good advice. Well, if any other questions before we wrap up?
No.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you guys,
everyone, for waking up early, or for those in Asia. I think there's someone coming from Asia, like
Indonesia, no?
Indonesia, I guess, after afternoon. But thank you, everyone. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
And we hope to see you next month. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
And thank you putting for the camera.
Yes, thank you.